Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of the Smoke Room. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it for free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the newest version earlier, you can go to their Patreon, where it's $3 a month. It's on there. So, on the last Let's Play, we finished Nick's route, but then, let's say what happened in that. We noticed there was a fire, and then the hare got shot. At which point, that was the end of Nick's route, and we were like, well, let's see what happens when we choose poorly, because I'm curious, Also, I fiddled with the game bit and found out that whoever you pick as you're being associated with is either get shot, if you go for the good route, or if you pick Ben, he fingers Yao, and if you pick Yao, then he gets caught, and if you pick Nick, I can't actually remember. Oof. But yeah, when you do the bad, the other route, the sheriff gets shot. And then all hell breaks loose, and we're running into the mines. We came across a National Guard guy who was about to shoot us, but then we shot first. And we had more of us. So, reset face. You alright? As much as we can be, but yeah. Nick is panting harder now, his breath sounding more like grunts with each passing breath. We need to go. We don't know if Yao will wait for us if we're not at the rendezvous soon. I hear Felipe's voice too. Yeah, he was the guy that got shot. Finding them makes me feel safer. The more of us who find one another, the better our chances. I tell myself that this has to be the truth. Because a gun runs out of bullets when there are too many bodies. Who's that anyways? Because that's different from what it usually is. Yeah, wouldn't abandon after all this. Let's move. I try to ignore the voice I just heard. The voices had stopped, but this one didn't sound much like me. How this sounded was hard to describe. Like the sound you'd think a pumpkin would make after it rotted in the sun. A wicked, sickly sound. I tell myself that I know everything down here is dangerous, but that doesn't necessarily mean it can kill you. So I decide to ignore it, just for now. We along the passageway after passageway, feeling the walls. I loosen up with a stretch and a silent sigh now that the sounds of guns are a distant way a ways now. Nobody speaks as we keep a steady gant between stretches of darkness, broken occasionally by beams of light breaking through the ceiling. Not until Nick breaks the silence. Have you seen any others? I can barely make out Paul and Felipe exchange glances silently. Then the Wolverine clears his throat. More than a few. Speaking optimistically, I think they only took out about a third of us with the guns. Nick doesn't answer right away. His voice is gruff when he does. It's hundreds of people. The sound of our boots marching forward crunches into the sand. Which means we have a national case on our hands if hundreds more get out and take it to court. Yeah, hopefully the courts aren't corrupt. His voice raises as his temper creeps in. They can't do this to this many people. They want a clean nose, especially when it comes to the lives and deaths of red-blooded Colombians. Mostly Colombians? Yeah, Colombians. I can make out Nick and Felipe tense when he says that. Believe me when I say we're on the right side of history here. I decide to speak up. My words sputter out, especially when there's somebody like Dimitri to speak up about it. I'm aware they sound too high, too desperate. It can certainly move a crowd. Paul and Felipe don't respond. The sounds of our boots crunching fill the silence again. Did he make it? When Nick is blunt, he's hard to ignore. He said his leg wound would slow us down, so he volunteered to fire at the door. We haven't seen him yet. I take that Paul... I like what Paul says, yet because he's not saying what all of us dread. I like that Paul says yet. It'd be nice if there was quotes there. He speaks like we are going to see him again, but the despair washes up in me, just like a fresh. Just as fresh. Sorry, my reading ability ain't great today. Or many abilities. I want to ask why it did stop him, or why didn't you carry him with you? He would make for an excellent shield. Or he would make for the excellent shield. I'm a pumpkin. But he answers before I can ask. He punched me so hard in the face that I bled. At this point, I can't tell if I'm crying or not. Lately, I've cried so much I can't help but be numb to it. I'm grateful that I ain't feeling anything yet. Because if I felt anything at all, it would be too much. And then I'd have to stop. And none of us can afford to stop. Nick and I know that there is something wrong with these minds. But as terrified as I am with whatever waits for me to hear, the thing that took my trust, that took my joy, that put me on this path of misery and hate, it seems to work within a set of rules and habits that I didn't quite understand. With certainty, I can't understand the finality of a gunshot now. So, if there's something worse that waits me after death, the worst thing that can happen to me now is getting shot. But the ease of mind that comes with hearing familiar faces after something horrible is starting to slip away. We're all still in danger. I speak up again. Did Yao tell you to go this way in person? The Wolverine blinks, as if I'd asked a question. As if I had asked him if he personally knew Babe the Blue Ox. I'm not sure if that's, a giant ox or what, or an actual ox. I'm not gonna be cute with my answers, but yes. You sure? In person? The group all looks at me now, the way Paul did the first time. Paul. He's Paul. They seem irritated with the repetition of my question. Nick adds weight to my question. He told you where the rendezvous would be then? Paul clears his throat. To answer your question, using his communication network, he passed me a letter with his seal. The only way the message would be compromised if he were compromised himself. He showed us where he hid his weapons before. In that place below, which led to the Hendrix Batter. That doesn't mean it's the only location, or even a permanent one. I understand that he's made backups with his plans. If you were to think that way, you'd be admitting that you think we're much worse off than we're telling you. There's a low growl in his voice now. I'm to think that's quitter talk. And quitting in these circumstances just means laying your head down to die, don't it? And an easy feeling in my body just keeps building. But why this way? These weren't the exits we had taken before. You're still not convinced? I just think I'd recognize where we're going is all. Nick wrote on his map that there were vapors close by. Yao had many secrets. It would not be out of character to put down misleading information if his plans were to fall into the wrong hands. I dropped the subject. There's no point talking about it if we're all going this way anyhow. As he passed through another beam of light, I noticed something I hadn't before. There's specks of blood on Nick's shirt. He's been coughing hard. I lean in to whisper in his ear, "You're bleeding?" He hushes me, looking forward. Paul and Felipe hadn't noticed yet. They don't need to know. But it's all over your chest. We can't say it's someone else's blood. I'm just overexerting myself a bit. It doesn't look like a bit. Hey. He takes a very sharp and serious tone with me. No fretting. Worry about the cave monsters and bullets. Not what I cough up on a napkin. Your shirt ain't a napkin. I'm fine, Samuel. He seems to believe so, but I don't think he's right. We had people at the hip cough blood from time to time, and Dora always took it seriously. The longer we walk, the more voices we heard, or our head. The only thing that keeps me from panicking is that I hear more than just Albion being spoken. The hell is this? We come out to a domed cavern with better natural lighting. Paul was right. There are more miners here than I thought there would be. Hundreds, which had escaped the guard. All gathered in this place. Rays of light pierced through the rocks in the sky far above. Craggy sandstone, stacked with wedges, made them look possible to climb. I think I'm gonna die here. The idea of an exit existing here somewhere begins to feel more likely. But if we're here, I can still identify it. If it's here, I still can't identify it. And I don't see Yao either. But what everybody does see is a tall crate in the middle of the room with a white sheet over it. Nick tilts his head a bit. Are those supposed to be weapons? This is where he said they would be. We followed his marks on the wall. But a big crate? Just sitting out here in the open? Nick shakes his head. No. This feels too conspicuous for Yao. Paul frowns. Either he didn't agree or didn't want to admit that he thought something wasn't right. The people crowd around the box. Some mention that they had waited long enough. Some ask for the appearance of Fang Yaolin. But Felipe, who kneels by the crate and knocks on it. He turns his head and gives the Wolverine a skeptical look. Yao's not here, man. I ain't blind, Philip. Or I wonder if it would be Philippe. He didn't think to leave us tools? It's nailed shut. The boys talks over one another as people in the room shuffle about, touching the crate, trying to push it up to tip it over or look under the sheet. It takes a while for Paul to get everybody to quiet down. When none of the Albion speakers manage to bring forward a pick? He asks Felipe to ask the Sonoran speakers if they have one in hand. Eventually, somebody manages to supply one, and they start picking at the outside of walls of the crate. After cracking the wood open, the buzz of the crowd only grows angrier. From the angle I can see, it doesn't look like there are any guns or ammunition inside. More people shout and take all of the wood off. Paul shoves his torso inside instead. Looking around, he lets out a shout from within. He comes out, eyes red from irritation, holding what looks like something limp and rubbery. The hell is that, man? These are Yao's mining gloves. He puts his hand inside and then pulls out a letter. I see a Huxian character stamped with a red wax of the seal before the Wolverine breaks it. Paul pulls out the letter from inside, unfolding it as people let out sounds of surprise or confusion. Most of them probably can't even read the letter, considering it's in Albion. Me and Nick look over his shoulder, see what it says. Weapons are not coming. The plan has been compromised. You all have to get out. The only way now is the deepest passage. Sorry, I need to breathe hard. Follow the red limes to the to the drop to the second page. I have fixed the elevator so it can go to the lowest level now. Oh, fuck this. We hear the hair curse behind our necks. We all turn to Felipe, who is throwing up his arms. No weapons? The Wolverine stares at the paper some more, as if it will change what the writing says. Fright not. The hair lets out strings of sonoran that I don't understand. Sonoran? It makes some of the other Sonorans cover their mouths, or let out calls of despair. He pushes us this far, and doesn't even give us anything to protect ourselves with? Paul shakes his head. We don't know what happened. I doubt he wanted things to be like this. Something must have happened. The hair was tugging his ears so hard it looked like he was about to pull them out. Doesn't matter. I don't care. There's no excuse for putting us in this position. Shit happens, Felipe. Shit is right. Just expects us all to push through the mines and walk into out into the desert? Just walk on out there, out in the open? No food? No water? No idea or direction of what's next? He lets out another string of sonoran, harsher and quieter, more like hissing. No way. I'm out. Paul just stares and blinks. The fuck you mean, you're out? The hair shakes his head. I said what I said. The hair starts pushing his way through the crowd. Paul grabs him, hooking him around the elbow. You think you can just put your hands and they don't put up your hands, they don't shoot, and they'll let us go back to mining? I don't know, man. Maybe. You think it was worth it, losing all of our friends, all of our jobs, our lives? How was any of this worth it? I worry that if Paul pulls any tighter on the hair's arm, that he'll tear it off its socket. How's the guard's overreaction our fault? Do you really think things are going to get better if we hadn't done anything at all? I don't know. That's a typo. Felipe yanks his arm away from the Wolverine and pushes him away. Kinda hard to imagine anything worse than this, or this. It's pretty damn easy to imagine, considering you've done it before. They're monsters, Felipe. They're never gonna stop. They don't know how to stop. We had to show them the consequences. The hair holds up both of his paws in front of the Wolverine to cut him off from speaking. Look. I know you don't have a family, but I do. They will die without me, and I'm not going to let that happen. So, fuck your ideals. And fuck your imaginary weapons. My family relies on tangible things. So, like I said before, I'm out. The hair pushes past the Wolverine and starts looping the tunnel. You're a coward, you hear me? A damn fool if you do this. Just let him go, Paul. The Wolverine ignores Nick and follows the direction that Felipe had run off in. Paul shouts again, cursing him, damning him, saying he'll skin him if he ever saw him again. Confusion breaks out once again, once the hair disappears completely into the dark. Again, people call out for Yao's name and for the weapons. Nick. What, Sam? He sounds agitated. I don't know if it's because of what Yao really left in the crate, or what just happened with Felipe. Sorry. Nothing to be sorry for. I mean, it is kind of our fault in a way. We can't control what we choose to do. Others will do what they want. And right now, I'm looking for that red paint. Even if it's all he gave us, that's still something. He told us not to come. Nick smiles. Did anyway. You're only proving my point, Samuel. But why would he leave his gloves? I think about the pit at the bottom of the mines. Perhaps he went to hide the letter. Somebody would find it. I look at the pair of gloves dropped on the floor, bend down and pick them up. Maybe he left some other message within them? There's nothing scratched on the outside of them. I feel around them. Nothing inside. They're just leather gloves, as thick as they are ordinary. But I recognize the smell. These are definitely his. I try to bring up how useless they are before a loud noise makes me shut my mouth. We hear gunshots down the tunnel. Gunshots that are extremely close. Everybody goes quiet. I don't want to think if those gunshots were for Felipe or not. Somebody shoves the crate, making it rock. For a moment, I think there's darkness beneath the corner. Nick sees it too. We hold the ends and shove it together. It budges, but we can't muster the strength to tip it over alone. Give us a hand. Paul doesn't want to ask anything, but he puts his body weight into the box too. His eyes are angry and bleary, probably because of what likely just happened down the tunnel. He puts everything that he has into the push. It topples over, and beneath it we see a shallow drop. There's dark red paint on the floor, a splatter on the floor. The Wolverine gestures with his hands and shouts, pointing his arms. Down, quick. Nick and I, and several other miners drop down. As we descend, we can see there's a series of more drops that lead to a lower level of the next floor if we slide through the gaps and keep dropping. Dozens of people follow us through, spilling through the cracks. I see one man twist his leg, but he covers his mouth to smother the noise of the pain. Another man slips, hitting his forehead, going unconscious. Some people try to carry him, but others argue about it. We can't stop to see whether they bring him or not. It doesn't take long to get to the widest room in the mine, with a long vertical shaft. Like Yao promised, a cage platform is there which wasn't there before. I recognize it as the dismembered piece of which was left at the bottom of the mine on the way to the Hendricks Manor. Nick tells us the elevator looks sturdy enough to fit about 10 people at a time. Paul volunteers to operate the winch above. The way it whines and creaks sends chills through my bones as I watch the first group of 10 go down. It's not any easier when it's my turn to descend. I wonder for a moment if it's noisy enough to get us caught. If there are guardsmen watching us, they ain't speaking, and they definitely ain't shooting. Nick operates the winch from the bottom, and I feel a little better once the three of us are down together with the rest of the men. The long rope bridge, swaying from side to side of the chasm to another, is swaying for us, and the acid in my stomach swells up in my throat. The voice has long left me, but I remember how it goaded me across the bridge, wanted me to go down, wanted me to go deeper. But across me, I also see the false rock. I remember that Yeo stored a gun. I test the rock to see if it's still there, and it is. A reminder of a promise, despite everything, somewhat fulfilled. I whisper, Nick. He turns to me, feeling the gun at his side. I try to slip it to him to make him hide it, but he shakes his head and slips it in my pocket. You need that more than me. He bares his fangs and shows me fisticuffs, lightening my heart, making me forget for just one moment where we are and what's happening to us. Paul, what now, Ayers? The Wolverine still sounds emotional, whether it's because of what Felipe did, or what is likely happened to him, we can't say. When you get to the bottom of the mine, there's a path we have to follow. Tell as many people as you can that they have to follow the markings on the ground and go nowhere else. Sure thing, sweetheart. Nick gives me a wary look. We've been this way before, Paul. You have to do this. Yeah, looks... I don't know why all of a sudden my breathing's just like not great. Yeah, was the one who told us to do it the first time. He nods slowly. It's not an understanding nod. So, how come he wasn't in the it wasn't in the letter then? That's a fair question. How come it wasn't on the letter? Nick and I weren't guaranteed to be here to tell anybody. The omission feels reckless for a fella like Yao. A fella who'd factor in every detail. Maybe he was rushed. Either way, we can't tell if Paul is choosing to listen to us or not. But I can only hope everybody who would choose to listen heard us. Let's go, folks. Let's go. The road beneath us squeak and whine as we're shepherded across the bridge. Considering the circumstances, I'm impressed that too many people aren't crossing over at the same time. But considering we can't even see the bottom of where we'd fall, it might be because everybody knows they don't want to cross this bridge, even though they know that they have to. With some... Wait, let's check the time. Okay. In some ways, it's a miracle we can manage to get this many people across the old bridge without it falling. It's so damn dependable for an old bridge that's old, especially for something made of rope. But for some reason, it also felt wrong to me, because it shouldn't be for something so ordinary, but it did. It was as if the bridge wasn't meant to fail. Every person was meant to make it. Every person did make it to the descent of the stone steps on the other side. They were just as old and out of place and had, as I remember them, that same feeling from the elevator gave me. Our long walk down begins. I don't know how long we walk. We go deeper. It's darker. Hearing the shambling of so many footsteps stops making me feel comfortable now. There were many of us, but we couldn't see each other's faces. As you go deeper, I don't hear as many footsteps. This makes me afraid. I try to stare into the dark, to try and see if anything has happened, as if to make out whether or not there are fewer of us. I could still see many men walking, even if their faces were hard to make out. But some of them were crawling on their hands. You see them doing it too? I don't answer for a while. Then I whisper, yeah. I wait for a while before I speak again. Don't let them hear you. The fur on the back of my neck sticks up after I hear that voice. The voice that couldn't possibly belong to a person. Why are they crawling? Must be tired. It's like how your feet know when they shouldn't be walking. But your hands know that there's more work to be done. Busy hands are living hands. I nod, even though he's talking kind of funny. Please don't start crawling, Nick. I would not if you asked me to. I reach out to hold his hand in the dark. Whether it's dark is at fault, where the level steps it's possible to find. At last, reach the bottom of the steps. I don't feel better being here, but it's much easier to see. I don't hear any guns down here, just a buzzing sound. The sound like the earth is talking from one of the oldest pits of time. A time before time even began for people. It's possible to ignore the massive pile of stacked gloves beside me. Without saying anything, Paul takes Yao's glove and tosses them into the pile. Nobody feels the need to ask him why. So I do. Why did you do that? There's an inexplicable dread inside me again. Don't know. I wasn't really thinking about it. Still, you did it. He looks at me like I'm crazy, but I'm not the person who has a hard time explaining why I do things whoever somebody asks. It's crazy that he doesn't know why. It's not like he's gonna need them anymore, is he? I'll buy him new ones. That is, if I ever see that son of a bitch again. I notice the pile gets bigger as the workers get to the bottom. And Paul didn't just put Yao's in the pile. His is gone too. Wait. I don't know why, or what it means, but I don't think it's a good idea. I keep mine on, in case I need to climb anything sharp. The pile was already there after all. It feels very grim to me, like agreeing to have your bones thrown into a tomb, or an ossuary. mixed in and inseparable from all the others, where not even your bones can point out how much about who you are anymore. I don't know. Sorry. I don't want to look to see if Nick puts his gloves in the pile too. Some people make casual talk about the walk being hell, and that they didn't want to carry any more necessary weight. But I can't pay much more attention to them. I need to find the path. The path that'll lead me and Nikolai out of here. But then I stop. Nothing in this tunnel glows, like the way it did the first time. It was bright and lustrous when you look. What was bright and lustrous looks wet, like glistening mud or fouled water that shines in uneven freckles when disturbed. I can't see a path anymore. There's no distant pattern to light the way. Just faintly glowing lights that mix together and crossroads into what look like arched doorways. This is the bottom of the mine, ain't it? Must be. Well, what the hell? Never thought I'd see it, with all the warnings and the stories. It sounds almost proud to be here. This is supposed to be an undeveloped cave, but that ain't true at all. What do you think of it? I pity you. I think I never want to see it again, Paul. This, or at any level. Paul spits on the ground, just leaving a piece of me behind. Some people mill about, looking at the lights. Some people chat a little easier, but they shouldn't be, because there ain't time for this. We have to get out. Whatever sense of urgency we had is gone. Some people choose a spot to rest. We have to get out. I must have said that out loud because of the pat on the back somebody gave me. But all the voices stop when we hear an explosion. It doesn't sound like a cave-in or dynamite stick going off. It sounds like 100 dynamite stick tied together and then launched into the sun. There's a terrible quaking around us all. Some people think it's an earthquake. Some people think it's an airstrike. I'm not sure. I wouldn't think they would really have much airplanes at this time. What just happened? It sounded like an explosion above. That's what I thought it was too. Cougar, spooked by the explosion, was shouting. Even in his own language, I could pick out what he was shouting about in the dark. The lack of weapons. Stop screaming. His patience had run out. I said stop fucking screaming and stay calm. Paul's patience had run out too. We all have to keep going straight until we run into the right way. The man kept yelling. So did Paul. It couldn't be clearer that neither could understand one another, but Paul kept talking, waving his arms. It's obvious this was carved out to be a path. The Wolverine held out his arms, gesturing forward. Some of the men started to follow him, while others argued with one another, perhaps in which direction to go. Paul decides to go straight, still shouting at the man. But Nick looks like he's realized something. Wait. The Wolverine shouts down the Badgers. Nick raises his voice, trying to get Paul and the Cougar's attention still. Wait! But it's too late. A sudden pillar of flame rushes past the Cougar, burning his body. He screams, and we can all smell his fat boil in the heat. When he turns, his eyes have melted out of their sockets. Sloths of flesh fall from his body as he crumples into a heap of wet flesh. It happens so fast that we can't even help. Paul bends over, eyes wild, laughing, crying, then throwing up. Whatever sense of confidence he was trying to broadcast was long gone. For a moment, he looked like he couldn't comprehend anymore that we were going to be saved. Nobody deserved what happened to the other puma. Nobody deserved to see it either. The entire cavern fills with warm, bright light, making the crystals around us shine hotly. Smoke starts to fill the room now. Nick, the gases. Paul. The Wolverine isn't responding. Nick goes over to grab him, but he doesn't budge. He sternly refuses to move. as if he doesn't seem aware of who he is or where he is anymore. I try to shake Nick, who, in turn, shakes Paul. The smoke from the fire covers him with the fog, making him cough and hack. Nick starts to cough too. Damn it, Paul. Don't you leave me too. He takes the man's arm. I realize if I don't help him, the smoke is going to catch up with Nick. So, we drag Paul out of the smoke together. The Wolverine is still laughing. He's sobbing and drooling over himself in between coughs. We hear people in front of us cry out as we feel heat waves of another combustion surge past us. Some people's clothes are alight, some fur singed. The temperature of the room as a whole rises. People start to scream as more rock catches a flame. The smoke level is past some of the people's heads and I'm surrounded and coughing, choking. People crawl over one another, trying to climb over rocks or one another, but some people start to stick together as they burn. Nick takes my hand and charges me through the cave. Some people see us and cry out, following us, yelling words we don't understand. Nick, you're following the flames. You're following the flames? Yes. We'll die. No, we'll die if we stay. Somehow, we come to a staircase on the other side of the room, but there's an iron gate behind it, and it's closed. Nick stops in his tracks. I wonder if he feels defeated again, if only for a moment, but I realize that he's hesitating. The men who followed us ran ahead of him, going for the grate. Do not. But again, he's ignored. People scream as their paws fry around the gate of the opening, sticking to the hot metal. Their hands wind together, fusing to the iron, flesh melting off the digits and off their paws, all gripping the other side, hunting for some latch or some lever that'll lift the hot bars and let them climb. And then the terrible feeling comes over me. The feeling like you've been here before. Worse than ever before. The first wave of fire had to come from somewhere. And then something worse happens. A new vortex of flame from the mouth of the staircase swirls out, igniting the people stuck to the metal. By the time it passes them by, their flesh so disfigured that their faces and bodies have grafted together into a terrible mass of eyes and gaping mouths. Whatever the nature of this chamber was, it feels like it's shifting. Blue shadows gave way to scarlet miasmas. Flames colored stone and ceiling a deep, vast red, almost as if it were sky itself on fire. It was here. If what was here was sleeping, it now feels fully awake, and it slips and screams, sucks up the melting organs. It's by far the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Don't look. Nick takes me by the arms and pulls me up around his neck. Somehow, we're climbing now. The fire hasn't gotten to him yet. He's still whole, still mine. Hey, Nick? He doesn't answer. Do you know that you're the best friend that somebody like me could ever have? Stop speaking. But I want to say what I need before the smoke catches up. We can talk after we get you out of here. But I'm not getting out of here, am I, Nick? He ignores me as he reaches his hand up, crawling away the rocks with his sharp claws. I can see now where we are. We're several feet above the iron gate. There's a weak point in the stone wall. Nick's holding onto us with a pick we used to open Yao's crate. I waste too much time chasing a dream, Nick. Behind it, we can see a visible stone. One respect. Just want to see what it looks like. Ah, okay. He beats away loose stone with his paws, falling loose from damp earth, revealing iron bars, blocking another way to the stairs. I want money. The smoke had already risen thick at our feet. The last we hear of Paul below us at the gate. He's trying to help open it with the others who have been disfigured. The smoke gets so thick, we can't see them anymore. If you break through, we can open it from the other side. I don't know if he's listening anymore, but I need him to hear this. I need him to hear this before the end of him, and me, and every trace we have of one another. I wanted to live the end of my life out in a light and glamour, and I wasted it when I could have spent that time with you. He started beating the iron blocking our way with his fist, beating it until his paws bled. The smoke was at her shoulders now. I love you, Nikolai Kroll. I said. The badger crouches and jumps, bashing his skull into the iron. Stop! He's left a massive dent in the bar. I'm getting you. The second left bar curved, and his forehead's bloody. Out. I couldn't stop him. It popped off with the third hit. He grabbed me by the waist and pushed me up onto the stone staircase, hanging coughing and slumped. Smoke isn't bad at this level yet. Nick got me out, away from the others, just as promised. But he isn't moving. He isn't even breathing. Above me, I see another terrible flash of white. A pillar of fire is coming for me and for Nick. I am grateful at least that Nick won't feel it. I reach through the grating of the stairs and hold onto his paws. Just squeeze them one that time. I think that's another typo. We'll just save this here and get that one. It's kind of funny that's like, it's a thing and then it's like, oh, typo, let me just do that while they're dying. Then I close my eyes and wait. Something's wrong. I look around me. I'm in the dark. The air is cool and wet, and I hear the gentle thrumming. It's that terrible, hollow earth sound. But right now, for some reason, it puts me at ease. It's the only reminder right now. Somehow, my body still runs through me. I look about me as I let my eyes adjust. But I see nobody in this place. And nothing but endless expanse with rays of light that bounce almost gracefully off the materials I ain't ever seen the likeness of before, them being more liquid than rock, both solid and wet and formless and smooth. But a voice speaks, and anything capable of glimmering in that room gives light, like molten gold running through liquid marble. Life is not constant. The voice reaches out to me. Death is not a constant. A happy voice. You yourself are not a constant. Content voice. A voice I've heard before. But something has changed about it since last time I heard it. It's no longer sound cracked or dry. It sounded rich and playful, almost comforting. Be not afraid. For this time, in solitude, you are saved. I wait in silence, almost eager for my next message, because I'm so happy that we are still here. That time continues for us, like a clock not yet broken, though I do not know who us is. All I can feel is that my dread wanes. Now remember. And the voice comes back to me, pouring down my ear like some secret music composed of the architecture of my body, alone thrumming through the chamber of my heart and plucking at the string of every nerve. There is only one constant in all of creation: the warmth, the light, the safety. It is overwhelming to me, and that is a meal. The light in the chamber goes out, and as soon as they had come, those lovely, bubbly coming thoughts leave me. The sense of peace is gone, but the sense of awe rushes from my veins like the blood sliced open. I wake up beneath the quivering carapace of that monster spider. I think, surely, that if the flames hadn't killed me, this will be it. But it doesn't kill me. It drags me up by the wrist, up those winding stairs, away from the burning body of Nikolai Kroll, whose arms I felt outreached. It takes me through parts of the earth inaccessible for those who can't climb walls, scuttering, slithering, pushing me out of the hole, the ground, out in the middle of the desert. It's rejecting me, but only me. As if I were scraps. As if to diminish Nick's sacrifice. As if to say he wasn't why I'd gone out after all. But it doesn't matter to me. It matters. It was he who got me out of that hell. Because he promised me he would. And it's because of him that I can see in the distance that the Hendricks Manor burns, shining like the world's brightest torch. The explosion we heard below had to be a house fire. Nick put together that this was what he had set the mine ablaze. Because Yao hadn't been lying about the gases. Yao's map was trustworthy, and he had Nick trust him. Was that why I wasn't enough for him? He wanted to save us all. Instead, he lost us. He should have been more selfish. I should have been more selfish. For a moment, I really wanted to believe in their dream. But why die for a better world if none could make it there? I sit on the metal grating, struggling to move out of the smoke, when everything I'd lost catches up to me. I've been so stupid to try and run away from the person I really was here the whole time. I think about William, who had protected us until the very end, until the single bullet twisted him into something lifeless and empty. I think about Nick, my best friend, the greatest love I'd ever known, dead with his associates, mired beneath the ground, only because he gave more of himself until there was nothing left. And how people who made him happy were all dead. And at the very least, I think about how that house and the mine and the city would be consumed with them in this inferno. But was it worth this? Their suffering? Their unraveling? Their undoing? I don't know. I look again at the metal grates and sit on top of. There, I see hands of more men. Men who had died in different parts of the mine, who had to get out. Who were sticking their hands through the bars, searching for the latch or a weak spot of dirt, just like the men who had men lost at the bottom, but had all suffocated from the smoke. And I start sobbing. Again, I don't know. But there's one thing I know for sure, beneath the red sky, as my lungs fill with toxic smoke. It feels like it's my turn to die too. But it doesn't come to me. God, why doesn't it come to me? As I hobble towards the hip, I find the Hendricks Manor wasn't the only thing caught in the inferno. The town hall, and most of downtown, had been caught in the flames too. The girls and the madame are nowhere to be found, nor the mayor, nor James or his wife, but I remain. Much longer after the fire goes out, much longer after the people here rebuild a town that is a shadow of the young city it once was, and I try to forget them all. Because now there's nobody to love, nobody to hate, nobody to talk to or think of it all. Just an empty place where empty things happen, where people who know what happened pretend that they don't, and they survive as lesser versions of themselves. Every day, I just experience the one constant of creation, that there's a meal. Amen. And hey, that's the first ending that we get. It said Project Leads George Squares. I think that's the George that thing. I do kind of want to look at their Twitter. Because, like, I'm curious about, like, what the hell happened? Was it George? Is this the one? Yep. Squares. So things like he or they are... Well, I thought it was somebody named George, but I might be wrong. That they were part of the Echo Project or something like that. I don't know. Ugh. I was looking at the post and it's like, they're doing fine considering the news, and yeah, it's that person. In short version is, affiliates of Echo Project do not have legal permission to seize sole ownership of the smoke room. Negotiations are still underway. Legal statements to follow. Ugh. Man, worst ending. Thinking that this game might be dead after, this update. And we'll never know what happens to Nick in the good ending. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see. Sad. Though, this is not the end of this because... Sorry, I'm just exhausted. Mentally and stuff like that. There's still more things to do. For one thing, after this episode, we're going back to... William's route. That being... Oh yeah, we didn't get... Yeah, this is William's route. Who's the one we didn't get? Oh no, he did add them all. Right? William, Cliff, Murdoch, Nick. Well, that's gonna be the end of this Let's Play. So comment, guys, I like comments, tell me what you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and likes it grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out the latest epic grow, and please earn as many and most help control the pit population. And if you want to play this game, it's available free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game, what was that? I'm just looking up. And wants to... Yeah, if you want to play this game, it's like... Sorry, I guess I should play easy games I don't have to think. I'm tired. I need to get myself in mental shape. $3 a month. Okay. And until next month, me, GamerWolfSix of the Smoke Room. So, thanks and see ya.